Go for it. This is Fergus Keane of Fro Films and No Budget.
Oh,
and for the sake of your channel, I'm Rob Reeves of Rob Reeves Films and Rob Plank and all that stuff, whatever the fuck I am. But yeah, what were you saying? What do you want to do this year?
Churn out as much.
I'm worried about sound, right?
Yeah,
I'm worried about sound. No, I think I'm fine, but just to be conscious, because I'm used to stage, right? So I'm projecting. So just to be conscious that I just want you to be heard.
It's true. Yeah. No, I think try and get as much product as possible, as many videos as possible up this year. That's been a kind of a sort of a thing that I've set for myself, and it's going well so far.
Really, yeah.
Yeah.
For Fro Films or No Budget or both?
Well, both. Yeah, Fro Films, No Budget. So I've done a few sort of film reviews, interviews with people who have made films and stuff like that. I was supposed to make a film. That's on hold at the moment, unfortunately. But hopefully that might happen later on in the year.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's going well. It's going well for you as well, I'd say.
Well, that's kind of what I did last year, Fergus, and I found it to be sort of an amazing experience because I tried so many things.
Yeah.
That it's just great to just, oh, I like that, I don't like that. Whereas if you haven't tried something and you think, oh, I wouldn't like to do that, you don't really know.
I know.
You don't really know, and you could love it, and you could be great at it.
No, I'm probably too much the other way. I'm trying everything and not necessarily focusing on any one thing at the moment, which that's frustrating as well sometimes, though.
Yeah, I know.
Because, you know, I mean, I'm looking for one thing that I particularly enjoy the most, but I mean...
I know.
I mean, the No Budget thing is it's interesting in that, you know, we're doing interviews and film reviews and stuff like that. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what's the thing that there is. I mean, I like political stuff as well, and this kind of thing as well. You know,
I know.
Yeah,
but
it's good to get an experience of everything.
Oh, it is. Yeah, it is. But yeah, it's a beautiful day in Dublin. I'll have a pan, will I?
Yeah, actually do. Yeah.
It's a beautiful day in old Dublin.
Yeah.
Unseasonably nice weather. And yeah, me and Fergus thought we'd just have a chat about various stuff. I suppose we'll talk about the abortion thing, will we?
Yeah.
It's so funny, like,
because we have to.
Because my
maybe nobody is.
Well, no, everybody's too afraid to. That's the point.
Yeah.
But no, my channel is basically like I'm comedy more so than anything, and I sort of feel sorry. I don't want to like labour because me more than anybody, I'm fed up of basically hearing about it, even though it's an important issue. Like it's just so negative.
Yeah.
Everybody's so heavy on it.
It is.
It's so the conversation is so unhealthy that like I don't want to force it down my audience's throat as well, like the people on my YouTube channel and stuff. But I'm only going to do 3 vids and then I'm done with it.
Yeah.
I think. You know what I mean?
I think it's no harm. Look, it is a huge issue in Ireland at the moment, and I think like one good thing that you do, and I'd like to do as well, is mark particular moments in time. You know.
Oh well, vlogs.
Which by way of vlogs, but also like this is a moment in time in Ireland in that you know we are going to make a big decision one way or the other.
Yeah.
And the whole debate around that, the whole social change, all that kind of stuff is important, and it's good to capture it. Like but no, I think it's good, and you're right. The debate is bitter, divisive. There just doesn't seem to be any middle ground.
There's no room for uncertainty, you know. It's terrible. But I'm surrounded by pro-choice people, so I only get to see that side
well,
of
that's it.
But
it's almost impossible to come across people who aren't pro-choice, particularly if you're in the media or the arts or if you're mixing with film people or stuff like that. It's just assumed you're going to be pro-choice and the liberal side of it, you know. People don't even ask.
Well, I think the one thing that I think is interesting, right, is that if you think about Donald Trump, right, when he was, I think it's sort of similar, right?
Yeah.
Donald Trump was going for president, and it was like, obviously he's not going to become president. And if, by the way, if you say that you agree with him in any way, shape, or form, I'm just going to take it up here because it's kind of weird. If you, well, maybe I won't. If you agree with him in any way, shape, or form, you're a racist, you hate women, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And then a lot of people obviously were secretly voting for him because all the polls were wrong. Yeah. All the fucking polls are wrong because people were obviously too ashamed to say, well, listen, I kind of like him because he's not a politician, he's this, he's that. Now, I'm not pro-Trump. I'm just saying. Same thing with Brexit. It was like if you know, I just think when you stifle conversation, when the left stifles conversation, it actually does the left bad.
Absolutely, yeah.
And evidence being Brexit and Trump, and maybe I don't know what's going to happen in this abortion thing, but you know, I just think the left aren't learning their lesson.
It's true.
They're not
Absolutely.
learning their lesson.
The
you know?
liberal side of things and the left-wing side of things has kind of come full circle in that it's gone so extreme. In theory, liberal people are becoming the opposite of that term.
They're alienating
closing
themselves.
down debate. The assumption that you could be in any way conservative about things is completely unacceptable. And I agree with you. And that has backfired upon itself.
Oh, it has.
I wouldn't have voted for Donald Trump, but looking at it now, particularly a year later, onslaught of the liberal agenda against him nearly makes me sympathetic towards him.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's ridiculous. The sort of the one-sided assumption that everything that he stands for is irrelevant, because there is 50% of Americans who do vote for him. And
I know, yeah, I know
You can't dismiss those people.
You can't dismiss those people. And Jordan Peterson came up. We're not talking about abortion here, but fuck it.
Yeah.
Jordan Peterson came. Do you know him? No.
Oh, absolutely.
Psychologist, whatever.
Yeah.
He came on this liberal chat show, and Jordan can go anywhere, and I think he's very reasonable with people, and I think he wants to talk, and I think all that stuff, right? I think he doesn't have his ego wrapped up
Was
in
that the Channel 4 Kathy?
No, it wasn't that. But it was just this kind of comedy political talk show that was left-leaning, right?
Yeah.
And he said to them, he just said seriously to them, they might have been talking about Trump or something, he said seriously, what do you think is going to happen to all these people who voted for Trump if he gets impeached? Like, what do you actually think? Like,
it's a very good point.
You would happily kick him out of office now. Like, what do you not see that that's democratically wrong? Like, it's the opposite of democracy,
It's
which
true,
we should all be grateful to have in our country, in the Western world. Like, what do you actually think is going to happen to these people? And they just joked about it and laughed about it and all this shit, and it's kind of crazy. It's just, you get a lot of that. It's like pig-headedness.
It's true. Actually, Jordan Peterson he's a fascinating character, and I really admire him. I wouldn't necessarily agree with everything he says, but he's a real intellectual, and I think he is a lone voice in saying a lot of what he does say, and it makes an awful lot of sense. It's unpopular. I think people dismiss his arguments unfairly, but if people listen to what he's saying, I think a lot of it is he's very true.
That looks better. Well, maybe not. But anyway.
It does actually, yeah.
But maybe you swing around here a bit, maybe.
Yes.
But anyway, so the abortion thing. So so I talked to a pro-life guy. I suppose this will come out after I release. Oh, will it? I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyway, I talked to a pro-life guy, and he was good to talk to. He was just some guy I found on the street. He was like, he was campaigning, and I went up and I said, "Hey, could I talk to you?" And then this guy pointed me to somebody else, and he was kind of largely, I don't know. He was just good to talk to. Yeah. Sort of reasonable. He wasn't evil. Like, he didn't have as much evil in his heart as I wanted. But
I did the thing with Carl Callan, the debate about his film.
Yes.
And well, not debate necessarily. It was kind of a review of his film, but obviously we have to touch the subject as well. His film is repealed. Now, the last thing I wanted to do was do a kind of an echo chamber of everybody, again, being in the film industry or the arts thing, everybody assuming everybody's on one side.
Yeah.
So when I was doing the interview, I wanted to make sure it was as balanced as possible. So I challenged him in relation to the pro-life issue and what would the pro-life side of it be, and can he see any and in fairness to him, he did engage with that.
But that was good interview,
I think there's very few middle ground side type views on it.
But guess what, Fergus Keane?
Yeah.
There are shitloads of people who find it a difficult issue, but they're all silent until voting day. That's the point.
Yeah.
I've got people in my life, and I won't say them out loud, but I've got so many people in my life who I go name and shame, hunt them down. They're unsure. They're not totally. They don't have all the answers, bastards. But no, I'd go, well, what do you think of this? Are you yes or no? And they go, well, I just find it very difficult. And people like that just aren't.
And
that's not
difficult.
good.
That's why I find it incredible, the way people are so certain about being on one side of it or the other. I find myself exactly in the middle. Like, how people can be exactly certain that they're pro-life 100% or 100% pro-choice. I don't know, I find that incredible. It's like, I wonder, do these people sit down and actually consider the other side of it at all? Or are they just content in their own kind of just
There's
echo chamber.
moral superiority, or
There is a little bit of that. No, it wouldn't be that unfair to people in that I'm sure it's coming from the right place and people have, experiences as well, which influence them a lot. And,
no doubt, no doubt.
But just that certainty of being 100% on one side or the other, like, I wouldn't be 100% on one side or the other on any issue. Like, this is one life or death, I mean, it's literally life or death. So, like, how can,
I know,
that
it's funny,
surprises me in some ways. But well, look, I think it's going to be a landslide and a yes anyway.
Oh, do you? Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah.
You would have said that for Trump and Brexit too, though, right?
True, that's true. But this would be the opposite. Yeah, actually, that's a good point. Yeah, it wouldn't be the opposite.
Well, we'll see what happens.
It would be a silent conservative minority maybe coming out.
What's a landslide mean? Is that
I'd say it'll be 70%, 30%.
Do you really?
Probably, yeah.
Wow, yeah, Jesus. I don't think it'll be that far away at all. I think it'll be very, very close. That's what Carl said on your podcast, and I agree with him.
Well, I think the yes side are trying to play down the majority in order to try and avoid complacency and get the vote out and all that kind of stuff. There's a certain amount of that.
I know.
I think it's going to be resoundingly yes,
Yeah, I'll stop this and start it again.
Yep.
Just because it'll cut out after 12 minutes. So the pro-choice is basically women have the right over their own bodies. Don't. So that's that. So they can choose.
Certainly, the positive aspects of the I can see positives to both sides of the argument, and the positive sides of the the pro-choice aspect. There are obviously very hard cases which are very difficult to argue with, like say fatal fetal abnormality, stuff like that. Victims of rape, things like that. It's very hard to.
The pro-life guy I was talking to didn't believe in abortion on those cases
grounds.
as
He
well.
didn't believe in on any grounds.
Basically any
grounds whatsoever. That's I mean, I find it hard to see how people can take a certainty on all of those grounds because there's so much tragedy associated with it. So I can see that side of it, and then on the pro-life side, I saw somebody once doing a podcast like this, and they laid out a map of the baby gestating over a period of
Stephen
9 months.
Crowder.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he said, right, pick out the point at which it's okay to kill that baby. Now, it was an emotive and kind of very kind of out there way of doing it. But I mean, it's an argument on the other side. Let's just say that.
Do you know what my curiosity is, right? Well, I think I don't buy into. Now, this doesn't mean I'm not pro-choice. I'm just saying there's obviously a strategy that these groups have both sides have come up with to say, how do we get people to vote for this? And the pro-choice one is women deserve rights of their own bodies. That's that. Blah blah blah. Right.
And I mean, there is definitely a case for that. Yeah.
But it doesn't. It's like, yes, women can get their ears pierced and they can get their hair coloured and they can smoke a cigarette.
Yeah.
But basically what I think it comes down to is, what is the status of a fetus? What's the status of a fetus? Is it a life? Is it not a life? Or is it somewhere in between? Right?
Yeah.
And I think that's what each person has to decide for themselves. And if that fetus is a life, then obviously you can't kill a life. But is it somewhere in between, or is it not a life? Is it a clump of cells or whatever? And it's just what I also have trouble with is like. There's this unrestricted abortion up until 12 weeks, right? Why not 13 weeks and why not 9 weeks?
Exactly. And
because I'm assuming
that's the Stephen Crowder debate. Yeah, it's a somewhat arbitrary time frame, really, and. It is. I'd agree. It is kind of an arbitrary number, 12 weeks.
Like why? Because I'm assuming nobody says 38 weeks. Nobody says 39 weeks.
It's true.
Everybody knows that that's wrong.
Yeah.
But where
and the pro-life side would probably give the slippery slope argument that if you agree to it at 12 weeks, then what's to stop it being pushed out to 20, 24, whatever the number might be. And that argument is being made.
And that's one question that I've never really been able to get an answer to, right?
Did you get an answer for? Well, you probably wouldn't from the pro-life side guy, but.
Oh no! Well, naturally he disagrees with everything.
On all grounds.
So there's no question there. But I'll ask Carl. But it's like, I can't see myself getting a good answer to that, and I'm not shitting on the pro-choice side for that.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think, you know, it's difficult, but it's just like the people who are so staunch about it, they never even consider, like, okay, if there was actual thought happening, right?
Yeah.
I think you would get a load of people pro-choice, but some of them would be like, okay, no further than 9 weeks. Some would be no further than 8 weeks. Some would be no further than 15 weeks, 14 weeks.
Yeah.
But just everybody being like this 12-week fucking utopia where it's
that
totally
seems
okay.
to be the figure where
It's just suspect. It's intellectually suspect.
unacceptability turns into acceptability. Yeah, and I mean, okay, but short of having a qualification in gynecology, you're not going to know. Presumably, obstetricians and stuff will come up with this figure, or maybe not. Maybe it's kind of an arbitrary figure, but.
But there might be a good answer to that I just don't know. So I don't know.
Ultimately, I think it comes down to, and this is quite part of the problem, it comes down to an emotive decision. It comes down to, it's not necessarily a logical decision. It comes down to an emotive reaction that you'll have one way or the other. And that's the basis on which the vote will be taken. And that's what makes it so unpredictable and so difficult to logically debate, because you can't really, you know.
One of the arguments, right? Because I think rape and all that stuff, and fetal abnormality and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I just think it's so heavy and it's so brutal. Just let the fucking woman do whatever she has to fucking do.
Well, certainly in the case of fetal abnormality, yeah. I mean, that is an extremely tough case, and it's very hard to argue against taking action in that case, yeah.
Well, whatever she wants to do, you know?
Yeah.
Like, whatever she wants to do to make the next 40 years of her life bearable.
Yeah.
Do you know, or whatever, you know,
Yeah.
less traumatized by that event or whatever.
Yeah.
But as regards one of the pro-choice arguments that I sort of am... I do resonate with is basically the idea. It's almost like drug regulation, you know. It's like people have always taken drugs. Let's make drugs safer. It's not some sociological fad. They're never going to go away. Let's just make them legal and make them safer, right?
Yeah.
Abortion's been happening for thousands of years. It's not some sociological fad. It's always going to happen. Let's just make them fucking safer.
Yeah, I can see that argument, yeah.
That's a side that I personally resonate with more. Because
I can see the other counter to that, though, in that, okay, you could make the case for anything that becomes regular and regularized and normalized in society. And you could find an example of something which is fairly malign. It creeps in, it becomes commonplace in society. Maybe euthanasia. You know, finishing off old people because they're not worth it anymore. It becomes more and more common, and we say, right, everybody's doing it, so legalise it. So, I'm not sure. I'm not saying that's the case in the case of abortion, but it's probably a dangerous area to go into.
I know
that if we do things enough, that we should have just accepted.
I know.
I
know. Oh, Jesus, I know.
No, I see the point you're making.
I know. Yeah. It's interesting. You know, as I said, I think the number one shame. It's great that there's a referendum happening, I think, and it's great and all that stuff. I think the number one shame is just the atmosphere.
It is. Yeah.
It's toxic and
it's very divisive.
It's not constructive.
Yeah. That is a shame, all right. Now, it's probably a consequence of... And it's something that's very divisive in the States, even though they don't have a referenda, and they haven't for the last 30 years. It's divisive on an ongoing basis. Every election, it's an issue. Which it isn't really in any other area of the world, really. It's kind of generally accepted in Europe and places like that.
Wow, yeah.
You know, we're probably an abnormality in that case, you know.
Yeah. My friend, a person I know, a girl I know, said to me, there's no way healthy adults having consensual sex should be allowed to abort a fetus.
Was this the pro-life guy you were talking about?
No.
Right.
Just a female friend of mine.
A female friend? Okay, that's rare to hear that from...
Do you think so?
Well...
I think there's plenty of females who are anti-abortion as well, you know.
There is,
or pro-choice
but
or whatever.
they're less vocal probably than the pro-life people. I mean, the pro-life side or the pro-choice side has been very vocal in this debate, and I think let's face it, it's not trendy anymore to be. The trendy side is the liberal side of any debate.
Any debate, yeah.
And it's assumed that if you're under 100, you're going to be liberal and that kind of way. So you don't hear the pro-life side as much, I think, particularly amongst younger people. But it must be out there.
I found it interesting what she said was because it basically points to responsibility. It points to you've had consensual sex. Is contraception not a part of this talk? Is responsibility not a part of this talk? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I imagine a lot of abortions take place from consensual, unprotected sex.
Yeah. No, in fairness, and I suppose what we'll have to say is too many is that largely it's the man who's not taking the responsibility in that case, and it's women,
not wearing a condom.
Yeah, and it's women. It's women who are the victims in that case, really,
because they have to bear the burden basically more so.
Yeah, exactly. Let's face it, that's the truth of it, and that's something about educating boys and young men. Largely, I think that's about responsibility. And that's a huge thing, I think. In fairness, it's something that does have to be done.
I know,
that's the side of it, I think.
It's so funny, when I was younger, I was just so terrified to go pregnant that I'd never ever take a risk, you know what I mean? Does that not do it anymore? Like, I'd be absolutely terrified,
Probably not, yeah. That's
literally terrified and paranoid. Paranoid, even you haven't used contraception, just paranoid for, you know what I mean? It's so funny, but I know, I don't want to come across too...
And it's strange then that around the other side, people, conception is a very small window in terms of in age.
The cycle.
And at the other side of it,
for fuck's sake,
people find they're unable to conceive and have children, and you've got this massive growth in IVF and stuff like that at the other end. Once people reach sometimes their 30s.
I know.
That's a wider debate and wider issue, but it's. The whole conception thing, and people are leaving it a lot later then to have children and finding they can't.
Are you, do you know which way you're going to vote? You don't have to say it.
I'm undecided. I flipped on both sides of it. I've never been more than 1 or 2% on either side of it. And then something happens and I read something else that pushes me to the other side.
And you said something to me before about pro-lifers, because I don't ever see them, so I don't know what their bad side is. I don't see them because they're too old.
It's almost like... Yeah, there's an aspect to that, but also there are young pro-life people, but they're terrified of speaking up.
Terrified.
It's now the ultimate faux pas to say you're a conservative on any issue. It's just,
it's true.
It's I mean, unless you're Dave Cullen, a good buddy of ours who runs his conservative YouTube channel, Computing Forever, which is superb. He's a rarity. I mean, he's a very rare animal in Ireland about the liberalisation of universities and everything becoming crazily liberal, the sort of and the banning of any form of conservative debate whatsoever. Like Jordan Peterson is practically, if there was an example of somebody who tried to bring up Jordan Peterson in a university and she was cautioned and threatened with dismissal, I think.
Yeah, I know. I heard about that
last year. So that is happening. So
amongst young people, they're very egotistical and I have all the answers. I'm 18. Don't you realise I'm 18 now? I have all the answers. Do you know what I mean?
Well, there's probably an element where people are becoming. I wouldn't want to be terribly negative. What I don't like though is generation snobbery and saying, the younger people are getting it all wrong and stuff. But there is probably an element of individualization of opinions and views now, whereby, people are becoming their own gods. There is an element to that.
I don't know what it is,
there is an aspect to that, I think, probably. I mean, the idea of a community, that's kind of a separate debate again, but that you're part of a community and a society is probably lessened, and it's probably more emphasis on it's probably a good thing, a sort of an individual identity, but I think there's certainly a demonisation of any form of conservatism,
Yeah.
I mean,
But it's naturally. I was worried about that, you know, because it's so sort of fascist to create this environment where you're pressurized to have an opinion or whatever.
But you see it on YouTube all the time. You know, people with conservative opinions in a university being shouted down, you know, hounded out of universities. It's standard practice, you know. It's like anybody, even who is in favour of Donald Trump now, who speaks at an American university is likely to be, you know, hounded out of a university. You know, 10,000 people outside, you know, holding placards, sort of, you know, and that doesn't happen on the other side. It doesn't happen on the other side. It's a very curious phenomenon that people who are liberal and with the best intentions are going full circle to the extent that the liberal aspect of their behaviour is totally redundant now.
They're censoring everybody, and they're totalitarian, and they're like that and all that.
Absolutely.
And it's very odd.
Yeah.
But I know it's going to be okay. I was worried about it for a while, and now I know it's going to be okay, because you see these YouTube channels, conservative YouTube channles, just blossoming and prospering under this regime. You know, fair enough, they're getting demonetized, but you know. And
Dave Cullen, Irish YouTuber, he's one of the biggest Irish YouTuber and a good guy in our film group.
I've never actually met him, by the way.
He's a lovely guy.
Yeah, I've emailed him. Yeah.
You know, like you mightn't necessarily agree with all of his views on his videos, but they're exceptionally well researched.
Yeah.
Really intelligently debated, and it puts a side of an argument that I never hear anywhere else. You know, and I'm sure lots of other people wouldn't either. So I find him fascinating to listen to.
You don't hear it in traditional media.
No,
I don't know. Maybe you do. I don't read newspapers, but maybe you do. I don't know. But anyway, what else do we have to talk about? I think.
Do you know the most?
I feel like an asshole.
The most old-fashioned. Are we still?
Yeah, we're still going. Yeah.
The most old-fashioned, most Irish subject ever. The weather.
Oh yeah, it's beautiful.
I mean, this was the longest, most drawn-out winter
of all time.
Oh, it was horrific. It was horrific.
Of all time.
It was just, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how you found it, but I found myself going nuts in the house. You know, snowed in for 7 days. There was something almost biblical and medieval about it, because remember when the snow came in, you couldn't get bread, you know, you were queuing at shops.
I forgot about that, March.
I mean, there was a bouncer at our local spot trying to keep people out. I mean, like, it's hard to think back to it now because the sun is shining and everything else is so different, but like, that was a miserable, interminable winter that I'm glad is behind me, because it was just horrific. And now we're outside in the sun, and I was eating ice cream earlier, and it's just beautiful and shooting the breeze. We should make this a regular podcast whereby we just bring people out into the sun and have a chat.
Do you want to?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
We could invite guests with opinions and talk about stuff.
I know. I know. Yeah, that's a good idea, you know. I was going to do, you know, I don't know about doing with the vlogs and stuff. I kind of enjoy doing them, you know, it's funny, but it's just, it's not, for the amount of time they don't take that much time, but I couldn't be arsed doing them anymore. What I'm going to do is actually, I'm going to hopefully build a YouTube channel first and then do the vlogs on maybe a separate channel or something.
I know what you mean.
Because at the moment, they're not the type of thing to grow your channel, because the same people watch every time, and it is kind of nice. I like doing them, but what I'm going to do is instead it's just be more strategic with YouTube, you know, and even if you got even just 5 people on the street a week subscribe to your channel, that's a growing channel, you know what I mean? But like, I've been at the 190 subscriber mark for about 6 months now, you know? And
of course, the new level is 1,000. The bastards at YouTube insist on 1,000 to get monetized. So
I know, I know. But yeah, it is amazing. No discussion allowed, basically, with the pro-life, pro-choice thing. No discussion allowed.
Yeah.
If you're not
demonetized, probably.
If you're unsure by me or
but doing a chat like this on current topics or stuff like that every now and again would be a good idea.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, I'd love to. Yeah. Right, are we done?
Over now.
Are we done?
I think
Are we done?
I think this goose is
cooked.
Are we done? I think this goose is cooked.
Okay, bye.
Slán.